Yeah, Friday! You have reached episode 55 of the Ranting Weight Watcher. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. If the podcast app you're listening on allows you to rate this show, please leave a 4-star or 5-star rating. Any rating is greatly appreciated. Here we are. Another Friday in the books. Are you ready for the weekend? I certainly am. We're not going to waste any time. We got a packed show, and let's get into this. Journey updates. All right, guys, not a great week this week. Gained 2.6 pounds. But, you know, with the immense losses I've had over the past month, you got to, at some point, you got to expect an adjustment. And because when you change nothing and you're going through your normal routine, everything is normal, and you have a weight fluctuation anyway, I mean, sometimes you gotta have confidence in everything you're doing. As long as you're doing everything the way you planned to do it, then when the body fluctuates, it can't have such a hold when you're trying to do things a certain way. As long as you're doing them that way, the results going up and down once in a while cannot affect your overall goal. So if it's your goal to become consistent in eating something a certain way and you have a weight fluctuation, that 1 week is not what you chose to eat that 1 week. I mean, unless obviously it's a bad choice. Don't get me wrong here. Don't try to stretch my words. But what I'm saying to you is if you made certain changes and the weight goes up, it's not necessarily because of those changes. Wait it out. This is why I go 3 weeks before I ever make a change. It has taught me the discipline to not go crazy every time the scale fluctuates, because the scale does fluctuate. Okay? We know this. Anybody who's been dealing with weight issues for any amount of time and trying to lose weight will know that the body weight fluctuates. Simple as that. So for the month of September, we are up officially 2.6 pounds because this is the first weigh-in of September. Total loss so far since January 2019 is 145.4 pounds. The pounds remaining to get to the minus 150 milestone is now 4.6 pounds. Pounds remaining to get to the minus 175 milestone is 29.6 pounds. And the pounds remaining to get to the goal of losing 200 pounds and then reevaluating life from there is 54.6 pounds. And you know what? I'm not making any changes. This was one gain. I always wait for 3. And here, that's what we're doing. Full steam ahead. We change nothing. We just keep moving forward and going through the motions the way we had the plan. If I get 2 more gains out of this, I will make a change. All right. So let's get into this today. I want to give you a little warning. I am going to reach into some topics that are sensitive if children are around. Okay? We're going to talk about, and I'm going to say some words that If the kid is old enough, they might ask questions, and it might be questions you don't want to answer right now. So I'm telling you this ahead of time so that you can pop some earphones on or whatever have you. Listen at a different time when there aren't any kids around, because I don't want, you to have certain situations, because we will breach into a very adult topics today. And it's all encompassing. It all comes together in the end. I'm going to wrap it in a nice bow and, present it in a nice fashion here. But we are touching into very sensitive areas, and I want to warn you ahead of time. Today, I want to talk about addiction. We live currently in a very, very, probably more now than ever before, an addictive society. And I also want to tell you right now, I am recording during a thunderstorm as we speak. So if you hear the thunder, I apologize in advance. I don't know how sensitive this microphone is going to be when it comes to recording during a thunderstorm. This will be a first for me. But as I was saying, we live in an addictive society. How many times have you been sitting at a lunch table, at a dinner table, wherever it is, in a living room, at your friend's house, wherever you are, and your friend's telling you, oh my God, I'm totally addicted to this show. Oh my God, I've been binge watching it. You got to see it. You got to see it. How many times have you heard, I'm so addicted to this TikTok video, this TikTok content creator? We live in such a society that everything has become addictive. But why? What has changed? What has really changed? I don't know if something has really changed necessarily. I think this has been something that has going on in our bodies forever. Okay? And really, all that's happened is society has become much more efficient in creating the situation. Now, what's the situation? The situation is dopamine. I don't know if any of you know anything about the human body, but dopamine is the most highly addictive drug on the planet. And it is probably the most dangerous drug, considering it's free and it's natural. It's created in your body naturally. Dopamine. Now, here's where we get a little sensitive. Dopamine, where does it come from? Dopamine is a chemical that's released in your body when the most common situation is when you have an orgasm. When you have an orgasm, dopamine is released into your body, and this is the feeling you get after the orgasm. It is a dopamine high. So now, how has society made everything become much more addictive? It's almost as if they have found a way to give you mini dopamine hits. Okay? So you watch this show and you love it so much, your body releases dopamine because you allowed yourself to watch the show. Do you follow me? Now, this is not going to get so far-fetched. Just stick with me here. Stick with me. That sounds far-fetched, but it's not. Okay? Because if you've done anything on social media, okay, you post a picture of yourself, you post a side-by-side, whatever, before and after pictures because you're on a weight loss journey, or whatever, before and after videos or pictures of you just getting a haircut, okay? And every time someone hits the like button, it has been proven that the body releases a small amount of dopamine every time you see someone liked your picture. And it releases a larger amount of dopamine every time someone comments on your picture. And the same token can be applied to everything that you do for yourself. Everything. Okay? So a lot of times you see people around you, whatever it is, they used to be, let's say they used to be really heavy. Okay? And they decided that every single time they would be tempted to eat, they would instead go smoke a cigarette. Now, this is a very, very, how do I want to say this? This is a very unhealthy way to lose weight, but it's not as if it's not been done. I know people that have done this. And it is, it starts as, whatever, smoking instead of eating can start as something that you think is the only way to accomplish your goal. But then in reality, all you're really doing is creating a much bigger problem. A much, much bigger problem. Yes, because food can kill you efficiently. If you eat enough of it and you eat poorly enough, yes, food can kill you. But starting and getting into drugs like nicotine and everything else, they can kill you far more efficiently than food can, in my opinion. This is my opinion here. This is not medical advice. If you're in the medical profession, I understand if I might be wrong. But I've studied addiction throughout my time, alive here, and studied the dopamine release in your body and how often it happens. I've seen videos, countless videos of what social media has done. The addiction. I mean, at this point, if you have a smartphone and you have a social media account, I could probably say you're addicted to it. And you're either addicted to look at everybody else's stuff or you're addicted to posting stuff. And it's a different kind of addiction. The addiction to seeing everybody else's stuff is like the fear of missing out. To be the first, to be the first to say, oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. And then the other addiction would be to receive that like, to receive that comment, have that dopamine hit go through your body and be so happy that someone liked your picture. Now, how can this really affect your journey? Like, why am I talking about this today? What does the dopamine release in your body have anything to do with your weight loss journey? I'm going to get into that when we get back from the break. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me.
I am the Karen. I am from New York. And I just wanted to say, first-time listener, lifetime member, sitting at the beach with my girlfriend Allison, and we're enjoying listening to your most recent podcast.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening to the Ranting Weight Watcher. If you would like to connect on social media, we would love to connect with you. On the Weight Watchers Connect app, search for @Ranting Weight Watcher. All of our other social media links can be found at www.therantingweightwatcher.com. You can also email the show, say hello, or share your story with us. Send your emails to therantingweightwatcher@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Are you interested in Ranting Weight Watcher merchandise? The Ranting Weight Watcher merchandise store is officially open for business. Head over to www.therantingweightwatcher.com, scroll down past the welcome section to find the link to the merchandise store. Thank you so much for your support of the show. If this is your first time here, and you enjoyed the show, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We are proud to announce that the Ranting Weight Watcher has been rated number 6 in Feedspot.com's top 10 Weight Watchers podcasts. Click the link in the show's description if you wish to see the full list. If the podcast app you are listening with allows you to rate the show, please leave a 4-star or 5-star rating, whatever is in your heart to leave. Any rating is greatly appreciated. And now, without further delay, here is the star of the show, Donato Russo.
And we are back. Thanks for sticking with me. So today we have a very, I haven't really covered much of this in the past. I probably mentioned it here and there, but I haven't really gone deep into it. But we're talking about dopamine, a natural drug released in your body. Now we can prove that it's for various reasons. Before, it was the drug released in your body when you had an orgasm. Now, very efficiently, society has figured out ways to have miniature releases of dopamine come through the body to make a product or a thing, whatever it is you're doing, to make it addictive. Okay? And this is all, I'm sure, psychological. There's a psychological aspect to this that I didn't really get into in my study of what I would talk about in this episode today. A lot of it comes down to giving the body what it wants when it wants it most. Okay? When you post that picture and you get that like, you want that like most in that moment. And when you receive what you want, the body releases that dopamine. Now, let's take this on a journey perspective. Let's get away from the social media aspect. If what you want most is a donut, are you going to get a dopamine hit if you eat celery? No, you're not. But if you give the body, let's say you start craving a donut, you're at work, and it's, 2:00 in the afternoon. Okay? And you leave work at 5:30, you're driving home, and you see one of these donut places has, some of these donut places, they have a light on. They put a light on when the donuts are coming out fresh. So they're brand new. They're right straight out of the, they're right fresh, extremely fresh donuts being served at this moment. Let's say you see that light. Now you've been thinking about this donut since 2-3 o'clock. Let's go crazy. Let's say 1:30. Right? What you were thinking about it at lunch. And you see that light on. Now, when you go into that, you pull into that parking lot, you go and grab the donut you've been wanting for hours at this point, and you take your first bite of that donut. For sure, you are having a dopamine release in that moment. You may even have like a moment where you close your eyes and you're like, oh my God, that's so good. That tastes so freaking good. This is not uncommon. This is exactly how the whole thing of social media addiction is structured. It's something like that. It's wanting something so badly and then getting what you want. Do you understand? Are you following me here today? Now, let me tell you a little something here. So let's say you went to the grocery store and you saw this container of strawberries and they look so freaking beautiful. You know when you see a container of strawberries and they're just the right color, they're just the right size, they look absolutely gorgeous. And you look at that container and you're like, I need that container in my life. So you grab it and you put it in the cart. And you go around the store and you get the rest of the stuff you need. So now you go home and you've been thinking about these strawberries since you looked at them. You wash them, you put them in the fridge, whatever. But then right before you put them in the fridge, you see the biggest strawberry in the bunch. Okay? It's like the size of your palm. It's so big. And you're like, no one is going to get to eat this but me. You grab it. And it's already washed, so you just bite into it. At that moment, it's so perfect. It's so sweet. It is the most perfect strawberry you've ever eaten in your life. Dopamine is most certainly going to be released in this moment. Because you just found the perfect container of strawberries. You washed them. You found the most perfect strawberry in the container. And then you allowed yourself to eat it. And the natural sugar is going through your body. And it's so sweet. And it's so delicious. And it's so perfect. How many of you going to the store right now to get strawberries? Oh, but anyway, the idea here now, what I'm going for is, let's say you have the exact same situation. But let's say on your way out of the store, you know how they have, when you're at the cash register, they have all the candy there? The grab and go stuff for the impulse buyers. So now you see, let's say you see a Hershey bar there, and it's your favorite kind. It's the one with the almonds in it. That's like, I love a Hershey bar with almonds. It's sitting there. It's kind of calling your name a little bit. You're like, I've been good. Let's take this home. So you pop it on the conveyor belt with all the other groceries, but you tell her to hand it to you after she's, rings it up, because you're planning to eat it on the ride home. Now, on the ride home, you bite into this chocolate, and you haven't had it in so long, and it's so sweet, and it's so delicious, and it's everything you know it to be. It's so perfect. And it's so good that you finish the entire Hershey bar on the way home. Now you get back in your kitchen and you're going through all the same motions you were going to go in the first scenario. You're washing your fruit. You get to the strawberries. And you remember how good those strawberries looked. And as you're washing the strawberries, you find that perfect strawberry. You know what? You say, no one's going to eat this from but me anyway. You say it because even though you ate the Hershey bar, because it's just that beautiful. But you bite it and you're like, it's kind of bitter. It doesn't taste so sweet. But why? Why doesn't it taste as sweet? Because you just ate a man-made candy. So the strawberry is natural. It's filled with natural sugar. This fruit is made by God. And it's made with all of the best intentions. All of the best things come together in this fruit to give you a natural sweetness, a natural experience. But now it tastes bitter. Why? Because man-made product is overly sweet. It's overly delicious. It is an artificial level of sweetness that's not attainable naturally. It's not attainable when it grows off a tree or grows off a bush or whatever it is. There is no natural fruit that has the sweetness of chocolate. So what has happened here? The unnatural candy made by man has caused the exact same strawberry to taste bitter. To taste like, it was all right. Man, I'm a little disappointed. The same exact scenario affected by something else. Now, what can we do to avoid these situations? Because the addiction to dopamine is real. And when dopamine is applied to, say, emotional eating, or, really is just really emotional eating, because we're talking about the weight loss aspect of it all. When you add this dopamine situation, this addiction to dopamine, to your bad eating habits, because that's where it's going to be affected, how do we stop that? I'm going to get into that after the break. Don't go anywhere. Nothing can stand in my way, because I am an unstoppable force. My challenges crumble in my presence, because I am so strong. My insecurities no longer have power over my life, because I am so confident. My mistakes are my choices, and I am okay with this, because I am so intelligent. The mirror and scale can no longer haunt me, because I am so beautiful. I can face any circumstance with unwavering support, because I am so loved. The demons of my past can no longer haunt me, because I now love myself. All things are possible as long as I believe, because God is on my side. I will achieve all of the goals, not if, but when, because I have no boundaries. I am the champion of my story, because I do whatever it takes to win. No one can take what I've done away from me, because I am the author and the hero of my story. I'm coming. Victory is mine, because I am enough. And we are back. Thanks for sticking with me. We are in the final segment of the show here, and we're talking about a dopamine and how it affects our weight loss journey today. Now, I told you the story about the chocolate versus the strawberry. Now, let's really get into here. Let's get into emotional eating and how dopamine can be released in these situations, causing you to go out of control. Okay? When you emotionally eat, now whatever the emotion is, whether you're eating because you're depressed, or you're eating because you're happy, or you're eating because you're angry, number one, we all know that the eating part of it is the distraction. It is what you chose to distract yourself from whatever the situation may be that's giving you this emotional reaction. It is not what's going to fix the problem. We already know that. If you've been listening to me for any in any amount of time, you would know this answer right off the bat, is that it's not the answer to fixing your emotional state. When does the body crave stuff like this, right? So if, let's say you're at your lowest low and you're looking for something to bring you up, there's really only one way to go up, right? So let's say you enjoy that Hershey bar in this moment when you're at this low, this very, very low emotional state, and you grab that Hershey bar, your body is going to release the dopamine, and it will make you feel better very temporarily until guilt sets in, because you really know what you're trying to do here. You know you're trying to lose weight. You know you're trying to make a better life for yourself, but now you're eating a Hershey bar because of an emotional state. And now you have got that dopamine rush, and that dopamine rush has quickly worn off. You're still having the emotional issue. So what is the next reaction? Is it either to deal with the emotional issue, or is it to make another dopamine hit? Obviously, you know the answer to this. It's to make another dopamine hit because you just want to feel good again. So now the chocolate bar is not going to do it anymore. Let's go after the cookies. Let's go after the cake. And each one a more artificial choice than the last. Each one manufacturing that dopamine hit that you crave so much because you're in this emotional state. The same applies if it's anger. And the same applies if it's happiness. If you're in a celebratory mood and you give the body what it wants, of course, dopamine's going to be released, causing the addiction to that moment. So the next time you're in an emotional moment, mad, sad, happy, whatever it is, the next time you're in that emotional moment, what are you going to think of? You're going to think of what caused the dopamine release the last time. The Hershey bar, the cake, the cookies. You're going to think about that. And you're going to automatically go to that. Why? Because you want the dopamine release. This is all subconscious. You don't know that dopamine is being released in your body. You just know you felt better after eating those things. That's what you know. But what is it in reality? The dopamine is not real. It's not a real changing of your emotions. It's a distraction from what really is happening. It's the promise of everything and the delivery of nothing. That's why when the dopamine hit is over, you're left with the beginning of guilt, unless you find something else quickly that can give you another dopamine hit. And if you find something, the guilt that is on the way is only going to be worse. If it was one dopamine hit, it's going to be worse if you manage to give yourself 2 and 3 and 4 dopamine hits because you chose different foods to continue avoiding the emotional state, and manage to find a food each time that would release dopamine. By the time you get your head on straight, the guilt that's going to come after that is going to be astronomically worse than if it was just one. Astronomically worse. But it's artificial pleasure. All of it is fake. The dopamine running through your body is going to be gone in minutes. And whatever problem caused you to be in this situation, it's still there. It's still there. And so many of you go right back into the fridge, go right back into the cupboard to get the next dopamine hit, when what you need the most is a healthy way to deal with your emotional state. Because food is never the answer to the emotional state. Never, ever. Food only fixes one problem: You've heard me say this before. That problem is starvation. And if you're listening to my podcast, your problem is not starvation. See it for what it is. See the dopamine for what it is. It's a lie. It's all a lie. Whatever pleasure you're going to get from eating in this emotional state, it is a lie. It is not going to fix anything. It's going to create something new. And even if the situation you're going after, let's say you don't go after food. Maybe you're listening to me today and you also have a nicotine addiction. You also have an alcohol addiction. You also have a drug addiction. And so in those moments when someone else would emotionally eat, you're going for one of those three things. The cigarettes, the alcohol, the drugs. It's all the same lie. It will cause dopamine to be released in your body. When you're in a stressed out state and you're like, oh, I need a cigarette. And you've convinced yourself what you need most in the world is a cigarette. And then you light up and you immediately, that first exhale of the toxic stuff that's coming out of your lungs, dopamine rushing through your body at that exact moment. Why? Because you gave the body what it wanted most at the moment that it wanted it. And dopamine is now coursing through your body, making your situation worse. There's so many ways to be addicted. So many ways to be addicted to things. And these addictions can become medication. Food is easily used as medication for our problems. Nicotine, drugs, alcohol, all so easily used as solutions to problems. And all they really do is create new ones. New problems we're going to have to deal with later. Because you know what? If you beat your weight loss habit by creating a bad habit of smoking, eventually you could be standing in front of a doctor and hearing about lung cancer or emphysema or whatever else comes from smoking. So you did all of that hard work. You bust your ass. You dropped God knows how much weight, only to find out you killed yourself in the process long term, because cancer is going to be a slow, painful death. Do people survive cancer? Absolutely they do. That doesn't mean you can find exceptions to everything I say. That doesn't make it incorrect. That doesn't make what I say wrong. Just because you can find an exception, people love to believe that the exception is the rule. No, the exception is the exception. The rule is the rule. Recognize when you're thinking. Recognize it. Is this the exception or is this the rule? Because I'm sure many of you analyze what I say. I analyze what I say. I listen to myself every week the same way you guys do. One, to see what I'd like to improve on, habits and quirks I have when I'm standing at this microphone. And the other is just to make sure that the apps are working properly. The hosting site is doing their job. But I listen to myself and I analyze what I say and how I say it and when I say it. So don't take my words and discount them because you can find the exception. and you want to pretend that that's the rule. Because the rule is defined by the majority of the situations. And I'll bet a paycheck that the majority of the situations I spoke of today, emotional eating, all this stuff, the dopamine hits that come from dealing with those situations improperly, I'll bet that those are the rule. Because the majority of the time, that's what's going to be. You can find all the exceptions you want. That doesn't change what I'm saying. It doesn't make what I'm saying incorrect. The conclusion to what I'm saying here is pleasing the body in these moments is a short-term solution with long-term problems. Short-term solution, long-term problems, in addition to the problem you already have. How do you deal with this in a healthy way? Changing the way you deal with the problems that come in your life is so important in regards to your weight loss journey, because so much of what we do is connected to our emotions. We have attached emotions to food inadvertently. You didn't try to do it. You just did it. The food brought you pleasure. The very first time, on your very first birthday, how many videos have you seen when there's a 1-year-old baby and they got this enormous piece of cake in front of him and they just allow him to put his mouth on it? And he just goes nuts. Do you think that dopamine is not being released in that baby's body at that moment, in spite of what I said, what dopamine was in the beginning of this episode? We're talking about an infant here now. How can you say dopamine's going through his body? Because it's a different way of creating it. I just showed you there are so many ways of getting dopamine to be released in your body. It does not have to be through sex. And that baby experiencing birthday cake for the first time, for sure, dopamine is being released. Have you seen a reaction when a baby puts the cake in his mouth for the first time? Have you watched these videos? Of course. Absolutely it's happening. Absolutely. Am I saying it's wrong? No, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't give your baby birthday cake on his first. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that's what's happening through his body, through her body. It at that moment, it is a new experience and is a very, very intense, pleasurable experience. And for sure, at that moment, dopamine is being released. So the key in all of this is this. Right now. Now is the time. It's the time to realize that there is so much more at play mentally than you ever imagined possible for a weight loss journey. It's not just eat right and exercise. And in fact, it never was. This journey was always more mental than physical. The real question was, when will you realize just how mental it actually is? Because you know what? If your mind isn't right, I don't care how little you eat. I don't care how much you exercise. You will not be successful in this system, in any system, any weight loss system whatsoever, if your mind isn't right. And forget weight loss for a second. In anything you attempt to do, if your mind is not right, you will never be successful in whatever you do. Whether it's business, whether it's personal, what doesn't matter. Writing a Broadway play, if your mind isn't in it, it's not going to work. So get your mind right. Do what's required. How do I do it, Don? I'll tell you. You do it because you create the one thing I've been talking about for months now. You create consistency. Consistency in your tracking, consistency in weighing and measuring, consistency in food choices and exercise, consistency in the entirety of your life, and discipline to keep it going. Because you know what? At some point, the scale is not going to move the way you want it to move. And you know what? You're going to be okay. You're going to be steadfast and strong. And do you know why? It's because you built consistency from the ground up. That's the way you do it. You don't just one day have consistency and you say, oh, today I'm going to have consistency. No, you build it like a house. You build the foundation. You build the walls. You put the roof on that bad boy. And you know what? When you put all the details and you have it all together, you have a house built stronger than any other house around you. Because you know what? If you could just grasp how important consistency is, and you realize how very few people ever grasp how important consistency is in a weight loss journey. Look around you. How many people can you actually see have grasped consistency, have held on to it, and based their entire journey on creating consistency? There are so few of us that actually get it. So few of us recognize how important consistency and discipline are. And until you realize that, you may never achieve the success you wish to achieve. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.